Good morning, dear colleagues. I am here. I hope you listen me. I hope you see me. We continue our lecture about palliative medicine. As I understand, today must be lecture number 1, maybe, or 2. I don't understand. Maybe today we must have lecture number 1 or number 2. Today we continue discuss about palliative medicine. What's main idea of the palliative medicine? I repeat once more. We added life to the days. Clear? We added life in days. Main principles of the palliative medicine it's an improve quality of life of our customer. I pay attention once more. Now I use terms customer. Now I don't use terms patients. I use the term customer. It's correct English customer, because palliative medicine and palliative service it's not only medicine. It's a very wide set of the manipulations about which touch patients, which touch patients, which touch patient relatives. Okay, today we will discuss about emotions which feel patients from times when he receive a bad news till times when he till death, from bad news till death, because now you understand then palliative medicine it's situations when we cannot use etiological treatment. We use only symptomatic treatment, and our main target is manipulate with manipulations with symptoms. Okay, my opinion. Now I explain how to provide bad news. Clear? Now explain how to provide bad news. For this purpose, now I show a medical video about bad news. And for students which come in right now, I repeat once more. Basic principles of the palliative medicine, we added life in days. We not added days to life. We added life in days. Okay, now very short video about how to provide bad news. Так, dear colleagues, if the problems with audio or if problems with audio, send me message in the chat, okay? Now I show video how to provide bad news.
Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I'm Dr. Anderson. I'm the neurosurgeon. The pediatricians called me because Jimmy had an MRI scan, and it looks like the MRI scan shows a brain tumor. I looked at it myself, and it shows a lesion in the cerebellum, a tumor in the cerebellum that we're going to have to deal with. So we've checked out my OR schedule on the way up here, and it looks like Tuesday afternoon we can do a surgery.
Are you sure you were talking about the right?
Yeah, little Jimmy, about 4 years old. I walked by his bed when I was coming up here. He was still just coming out of the MRI scanner.
But we thought he had the flu. I mean, he's just had some nausea and some headache.
Yeah, sometimes these brain tumors can push on the back of the brain, and where they push can cause nausea and vomiting. And sometimes it mimics, well, no, it's not the flu, it's a brain tumor. So we set up the surgery for Tuesday. The pediatricians will come in and tell you what bed he's going to. I don't know what bed he's going to yet. We're going to keep him in the hospital till Tuesday's surgery. Looks like it'll be in the afternoon. Any other questions?
I want to see him.
He'll be up here in a little while. I don't know. I didn't see him. I just saw him laying in the bed. The nurses are taking care of him. But any other questions?
I just can't believe it.
Well, we may have some time to talk before the surgery on Tuesday. All right? All right. Well, the pediatricians will be in a little bit. Okay. Hi, Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. I'm Dr. Anderson, the neurosurgeon. It's nice to meet you. Can you tell me a little bit about what's been going on with Jimmy?
Well, go ahead.
He was sick last week, just all this week, having, throwing up and
It's a headache.
headaches and just really intensely sick and just not kicking it. Yeah.
So, and we know there's a flu going around, so
Yeah.
we just wanted to make sure it wasn't anything more serious.
Yeah, just worried about his immune system.
And then
knocking
they
us
wanted to
out.
give him an MRI here, so
Yeah. They said to roll things out, but
he's been gone for 4 hours now. We've been waiting, so
Yeah.
you know.
So he's been sick for about a week and throwing up and headaches. And I know you've been waiting a long time, and I'm sorry about that. They have to sedate him a little bit to get him to hold still for the MRI scan.
is he scared? Is he okay?
He's okay. I just saw him, and he was basically like waking up from a long nap. So he's moving around, and he looks fine. He's opening his eyes, but he's still not kind of back to his normal self yet. The nurses are watching him really closely, and everything's fine with him. I looked at the MRI scan, and I'm afraid I have some bad news for you. It looks like he's got a brain tumor.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I checked very carefully the scan and him, and it fits with the symptoms he's having, and he's got a small brain tumor back here in his cerebellum on the right side.
I just thought he had the, we just thought it was,
Just
we thought it was kind of
Just
silly we even
the
came in
flu.
today.
Sometimes these present that way. People, the little kids are sick and they're nausea and vomiting, but it turns out it's actually pressure on the back of the brain that's causing them to have the headaches and that kind of thing.
this is really a shock. I'm so just done.
Didn't even know why they wanted to give him an MRI.
Oh my God.
I know this must be really hard news to hear.
Is he gonna be okay?
He's going to be okay. We're going to be with you every step of the way. Would you mind if I tell you a little bit about what the plan's going to be, what the next step is, so we can keep taking good care of him?
Yeah.
So I can tell you one thing, in looking at the MRI scan, sometimes you can tell whether they're more slow-growing benign tumors or more fast-growing aggressive tumors. And the good news is it's the more small-growing benign type tumor it looks like. We won't know for sure till we take it out, but we're going to have to do surgery to get it out and try to cure him from this brain tumor.
So it's a benign one. You should think it's.
We hope so. We'll know once we look at it under the microscope, but looking at the MRI scan, that would be the more likely scenario.
That's what it looks like. It's not just that you're going to rule out. I mean, it's probably benign then. So.
Where it's located, it looks like that, yes.
Okay.
So we've looked at the schedule, and we want to admit him to the hospital tonight, and we'll keep him here over tomorrow and give him some steroids to get the swelling down so he'll feel better. And then Tuesday morning we'll do the surgery, and the surgery will last about 3 hours.
In a couple of days. Yeah. So, can we see him? Is he?
Yeah, he's going to be right up. The nurses were just about ready to, they were getting him all ready in the bed, and he was, like I said, waking up from like a long nap, and he's going to be up here in about 5 minutes. And I know that's a lot to take in, but what questions do you have?
I don't know. I'm just so floored right now. Do you?
How long do you think he's going to be in the hospital after the surgery, if things go okay?
Things go well. He should be able to go home by next weekend. So tonight's Sunday night, so I have surgery Tuesday. Should be able to go home by, Friday, Saturday.
They're just gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay.
We're going to be with him every step of the way with you guys, and if you want to, I'll come back in a little bit and we can talk, once you've got a chance to kind of process a little bit of this stuff, we can talk with him and tell him he's going to have, a little surgery on Tuesday.
I think that would be helpful, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I would say.
I don't know.
Your job's just to be mom and dad. We'll be the neurosurgeons, okay? We'll take good care of him, all right?
Thanks.
All right, take care.
I'm sorry, I don't switch on microphone. I'm sorry, I don't switch on microphone. Okay, now I show video how to provide bad news. In general, everything's important in these things. Important how you provide news. Order of news. Important order of questions. Important your body language. Important your face expressions. This video was very good example. This video was a very good example how to provide bad news, and this video very interesting because show order of this dialogue, show how to provide news, explain body language, explain type of questions. Okay. It's a first stage in palliative medicine. First stage, it's a provide a bad news. It's a switch on. Next stage, it's a patient's reply. Patient's reply to the bad news. Usual, everybody has a very same reply to the bad news. Everybody has the same reply to the bad news. This order was described by the psychologist and doctor which name Kubler-Ross. Now I show a medical video about Kubler-Ross, order of stage, how what's happy with patients when he receive bad news. It's a absolutely classic materials. You must remember stage, and after that I explain how to manage patients in this stage. Okay, now watch video.
This year, 2009, will mark the 40th anniversary of the Kubler-Ross model. In her 1969 book on death and dying, Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross brought attention to the psychological aspects of being terminally ill. As a young doctor, Kubler-Ross was appalled by the hospital treatment of patients who were dying. Terminally ill patients were often seen as an embarrassment to doctors, proof of their fallibility. These people were often shunned under the guise that there was nothing more to be done for them. Resolute to change this, Kubler-Ross began giving a series of lectures featuring terminally ill patients, forcing medical students to confront people who were dying. Her interest soon turned to the psychology of death. Describing and applying 5 distinct stages, she outlined a process of dying, the Kubler-Ross model. The work was groundbreaking. While the stages are experienced by a great many of those diagnosed as incurable, it is important to note that not everyone goes through every stage, and the stages themselves are not necessarily a sequence. They are known as the 5 stages of grief.
Mr. Jones!
Doctor!
How's it going?
I'm okay, doctor.
You okay?
Do you have any news for me?
I do have some news. John, I have some bad news.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry to tell you, you only have 6 months to live.
6 months to live? That's unbelievable. I can't believe that. I am not dying. That woman's a quack. She's crazy. I'm in perfect health. I am not dying. There's no way. I'm not dying.
How are you doing, Mr. Jones?
Hi, doctor.
Hi. We overlooked your file, and I have some bad news for you. It's 5 to 7 months to live.
Are you sure?
We're positive. I know you saw a second opinion.
It can't be. I'm healthy. I feel as fit as a horse.
We had the whole staff look it over, and it's terminal. It's 5 to 7 months at best.
I can't accept that. That is wrong.
Параметр градиента давления стеноса у меня чуть-чуть не доходит до стеноза первой степени. Чуть-чуть не доходит, но не доходит параметр. А носом
No, I can't believe it. I'm dying, and these people are having fun. That's unbelievable, man. Don't they understand I'm dying? That stinks.
Hey, Dad.
Dad!
Yeah. Go to Disneyland.
Yeah!
You said we could.
Can we?
No,
Dad,
you
can
know
we?
what? We can't.
У нас свой профессор есть, который понимает.
Вот точно такая ситуация в нашем случае, что получается, что получилась скорость выше нормы, а когда он померил градиент, пересчитал линейной формулы, вторая учебник показала. Все буду брать тот учебник, который они показывали, как это естественно.
God,
Я даже не понял, как посчитать.
please, let me live.
Я очень говорю.
I will go to church every day. I'll go twice a day. Please, please, just let me live. All I want to do is see my kids grow up and get married. Please, God, please.
Hey man, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how about a little sip of this?
I had to give it up.
Oh really?
Yeah, I made it bark. Not me anymore.
Well, I'll take up the slack for you. How's that?
I appreciate it.
А еще стал протокол написать.
Я вот протокола самого. А сейчас это все...
Another fishing show.
ради того, не надо, не надо.
I wish I could care. I just don't care. Oh look, the Yankees won the World Series.
Я не понял сразу, что такое зачем.
I don't even know why I watch it. There's nothing for me. There's nothing, I can't do nothing. I guess I'll just go to bed.
Только это отдельная история.
Нет, я видел,
Там все идет отдельным исследованием. Кстати, я положение, к чему привязывать, почему привязывать это, пожалуйста, тебе лимфоузлы подходят, то это отдельная история. То есть, если точки степени тебе еще как-то
Oh,
сказать,
can't sleep.
совершенно отдельно.
Я так понял, что будет
Шейные
Я так
сочетания.
понял, что никто даже теперь чихать не хочет.
Let's do it. I'll put myself to sleep. I'll put myself to sleep for good.
Так, я пошел проверить, что
I care, I'm gonna die anyway. Girls, I just want to say I'm okay with this. I feel all right. I feel at peace. I want to thank you so much for being here for me. Not just now. You've always been there for me. We've always been such a tight family. I love you so much. Thank you. And I don't want you to worry about me. because I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I'm going, but I'm going from one room to another. I'm stepping through a doorway, and I'm gonna be okay, and you are gonna be okay. And this is just a natural part of life. Everybody has to go through it. I'm no different from anybody else. And this is just my time. I love you guys. Thank you. Since their introduction, the stages of grief have evolved to include a framework for those grieving for the deceased. Dr. Kubler-Ross identifies these in her follow-up book, On Grief and Grieving. Dr. Kubler-Ross, a 2007 inductee into the National Women's Hall of Fame, was the recipient of over 20 honorary degrees, and by July 1982 had taught, in her estimation, 125,000 students in death and dying courses in colleges, seminaries, medical schools, hospitals, and social work institutions. Through her book, she has touched millions of people dealing with the challenges presented by living and dying well. Kubler-Ross authored more than 20 books, many of which have been translated into more than 28 languages. Today, her trailblazing book, On Death and Dying, is required reading in most major medical, nursing, and psychology programs. The prolific author and psychiatrist died August 24, 2004, in Scottsdale, Arizona. Her family and friends surrounded her. She was 78.
I'm here. Okay, continue our lecture. Okay, now you remember stage. First stage, it's a psychological defense mechanism. Clear? First stage, it's a psychological defense mechanism which has name denial. Yeah? After that, okay, what's happy when patient has a bad news? It's a fear. It's a psychological trauma. It's a serious psychological trauma. How to resolve these problems? Yes, of course, psychological defense mechanism. Clear? Anxiety. Patient has a fear. It's a real problem. Second, anxiety. We don't know what's happy after the death. Clear? Death, it's not only a problem. It's not only fear. It's death. It's say so. It's enigma. It's an enigma. We don't know what's happy after the death. And yes, of course, patients worry about this. Worry, anxiety, yeah? And patient use different defense mechanism. First defense mechanism, it's deny. After that, patient has a kind of adjustment disorders, problems with adaptation, adjustment disorders. Patient has a psychological trauma, and what's main symptoms? It's anxiety and aggressions. It's aggressions and denial. Okay. Yes, of course, patient has excitations, patient has angry, patient has problems with contact with other peoples. It's yes, of course, it's very difficult for patients understands and his life is finishing. It's difficult. What we must do in these situations? Next stage, it's a bargaining. Yeah, it's like a defense mechanism. It's like a defense mechanism to patients, try to exchange. After that, depression. What's common in these situations? Common in general, it's adjustment disorders. In general, it's a psychological trauma which develop anxiety, which developing irritability, which developing depressions. Okay, we know stage what's be in future, and what we must do. When patients receive bad news, my opinion, we start use medications. We start medications against depressions and anxiety. What kind of drug we can use? Yes, of course, we must manage psychological symptoms. It's anxiety. It's a SSRI, like a sertraline, paroxetine. Maybe problems with, maybe we can add it benzodiazepine, because benzo decrease negative decrease excitations. And when we speak about palliative medicine in general, side effect like addictions and abuse not so important for ourselves. Next, what's our next step? Our next step in these situations, it's hypnotic drugs. It's maybe benzo. Next, it's aggressions, decrease aggressions. Maybe it's a very low dose of the antipsychotic agents. Maybe it's a very low dose of the atypical antipsychotic, like a risperidone. Maybe minimal dose divided to 2 or more. Okay, now you understand. Bad news. Kaplan, Kubler-Ross. What our set of medications? First, we must provide psychological service. It's a psychological treatment. My opinion, in these situations, very good psychological treatment. It's maybe it's a group therapy. It's a patients which has the same problems, and we can organize groups. Second, it's a spiritual service. It's very important too. Next, what's next for this purpose? For this purpose, my opinion, next it's medications like antidepressant agents, SSRI, benzo, during the day and before sleep. Aggressions, management of aggressions. It's a low dose of the antipsychotic agents. It's a average dose of the mood stabilizers, like a valproic acid. My opinion, this set of drugs be very useful for support patients with which has like these problems. Okay, next, our next. Так, not so many students. Так, okay. Okay, not so many students. All materials I am upload to the website, video which I provide. Dear colleagues which present right now, I am very glad that you visit my lecture. For me, very pleasure that you sit down in the lecture and listen myself. Okay, not so many students. Today I provide important part of information. Thank you for your attendance. Goodbye.